Hey friends, what's up? How's it going? Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Today I've got for you guys 15 different romantic fragrances perfect for date nights. Got some niche, got some designer, got some cheaper ones, some more expensive ones, some more common ones, some less common ones, a little bit of something for everybody. And I'll have them all linked as usual down below where I am right now, down in the description down there. Feel free to check them out down there. Also got some codes for you guys. New code is Max Aromas Gents 20, which will get you 20% off their website. Few brands aren't included in that, so if you're shopping for something, Gents 20 doesn't work for some reason, Gents 10 will. That'll get you 10% off, but try the 20% off code first. And the lucky cent code 2023 Gents, that is working. It's working correctly. It didn't for a little while, but that gets you 10% off through the end of September on their website. And there's a bunch of other codes, so here they are. Codes, use them, let's go. All right, I got a ton of fragrances, so we're gonna try to bust through these, okay? I say that every time and then I end up talking for way too long, but I'm gonna make an effort, okay? All right, the first fragrance is Drakkar Noir. It's behind me, over there on the wall, with Gucci Envy and my little plaque. Those are there because they friggin' rule. Drakkar Noir is not actually in this video, but I should have put it in. All right, first one, let's see what we got. Oh, Legend Eau de Parfum from Montblanc. So Legend Eau de Toilette, that one really cheap from discounters. This one, usually you can get for a pretty good price from discounters also, so that's nice, don't want to spend too much. Of course, the original Legend is similar to Abercrombie & Fitch Fierce, which that fragrance you can use pretty much anywhere, which means you can use Legend pretty much anywhere as well. Legend Eau de Parfum is what you would expect from an Eau de Parfum flanker. It's a little bit, it's slightly more mature than the Eau de Toilette, a little bit deeper, maybe not quite as fresh, but it still does have nice fresh elements to the fragrance. Can't even get the cap on. It's got a very masculine, clean edge to the scent, very easy to wear. So this is the type of date night fragrance that you can pull off in pretty much any situation, whether we're talking summer in the evening or winter. You can do, like I said, anything with it. Big compliment puller, easy to pull off, great price, a lot to love about Legend Eau de Parfum. So this one, an easy choice. After that, we got a blue bottle, but not a blue fragrance. It is Thamine's Carved Oud. Yeah, little oud never hurt anybody, except for the people that it did. Thamine Carved Oud, this smells a bit similar to Oud Wood from Tom Ford, but it's a little bit smoother, actually, a little bit less aggressive. Not that Oud Wood is an aggressive fragrance, but this one really does just elevate that scent profile a little bit further. And Oud Wood actually would be a great date night choice as well, I think. So this is gonna give you that somewhat sweet, lightly spicy, dark wood type of oud that doesn't really lean into the more animalic sides of oud, which keeps it very nice for more romantic situations. Because some people out there would disagree, but in my opinion, if you're going on a date, you probably should not wear an oud fragrance that is gonna make your date think of the smell of a crap-stained barnyard floor with a little pee mixed in just for good measure. Some oud fragrances are gonna give you those vibes. I would not wear those on a date personally. I would stay away from those, especially if you're talking a first date. I cannot think of many fragrances that would be worse. But thankfully the oud here, none of that at all. Just a classy, warm, inviting woodsy fragrance, easy to pull off, and a magnetic cap. Can't go wrong. Let's follow that up with Eros Parfum. Now, realistically, you could go with any Versace Eros fragrance, the Eau de Toilette, the Eau de Parfum, the Parfum, or Flame. For me, though, if I were gonna narrow it down to just one, I'd go Parfum if we're talking about date situations. Kind of same reasons I would for Legend Eau de Parfum over Legend Eau de Toilette. You know, this one is slightly more grown up, but it still maintains that same scent profile, that same DNA that the original had, which made it a huge success, massive compliment puller, and easy to wear fragrance, which most of these are, because again, in a date situation, I don't know that's the best time to try to bust out your most avant-garde, freaky fragrance and try to impress your date with how niche your scent is. I mean, maybe, you know, there's 1 in 1,000 type situations where that'll work out for you, but I think most of the time that's not a safe bet. Don't try to be a snob with your date if you're wearing something that most people don't dig and she doesn't dig it. Of course you wouldn't like it. You're a peasant. You have the nose of a pleb. Only someone as exquisitely refined as myself would appreciate this fragrance. I just don't think that you and I are a good match. You can't appreciate my poupée du jour parfum. Ridiculous. Anyway, back to reality. Eros Parfum. It has that sweetness that Eros is known for, but not as aggressively in your face, not quite as youthful. It's grown-up Eros. I really enjoy this stuff. I think that the Eau de Parfum is probably the most versatile overall, but again, in this type situation, I'm going Parfum. Let's get one a little more grown-up here. Pache de Cartier. Parfum, yes, another Parfum. I do love like spraying and smelling each one of these as we go. It's just fun.
It's having a little fun here.
Pache de Cartier Parfum, that's gonna bring it back a little bit to the original Pache de Cartier. You get some of that vibe in there, little throwback masculine edge, but this one does have, yes, you guessed it, a little more warmth. It has a nice woody undertone that doesn't go too heavy. It's got a very slight faint barbershop kind of vibe in the background there, again harkening back to the original Pache de Cartier. Gonna probably, you know, gravitate more toward people middle-aged and older. I think that younger guys are gonna look for something more like the Eros over here over this one. But if you want a very classy date night fragrance, maybe you're going somewhere that's a little bit more elegant, a little bit more dressed up, something like this is gonna work perfect. Okay, a newer fragrance next. Burberry Hero Eau de Parfum. The original Eau de Toilette could work as well, but as with most of these here, I think that the Eau de Parfum is a little better suited for date night situations because it does have a little more sweetness to it. And this one is actually really, really nice smelling. It's one that woo. And even though the Hero line has caught some strays since it came out, you know, some people have really dumped on it, I find Hero Eau de Parfum to be really pleasant. So you have your cedar in here. Burberry Hero Eau de Toilette has 3 types of cedar. This has 3 types of cedar, but that's not really the focal point of this one, not as much as it is in the original. This has more of a focus on a light incense and then a resinous, ambery kind of sweetness. It may remind you a little bit of fragrances like Stronger With You Intensely, The Most Wanted from Azzaro, stuff like that. It's in that wheelhouse. And I don't have those fragrances in this list because it would start to get a little more redundant if I put those in and this as well. But take that as me saying that they would work just as well as any of the ones in this list. Stronger With You, always a great choice, and Most Wanted as well. Let's switch it up now with Agnetta from 8 and Bob. Now this one, a little bit pricey compared to what 8 and Bob fragrances went for in the past. It is, I believe, $280 at retail price for this one, and they changed up the presentation as well. So new bottle style, new cap style compared to their other fragrances. This one feels a little bit more high end, smells a little bit higher end as well. Love the way this one comes across, especially we're talking fall, winter, evening. Yeah, that's gonna set you apart. It's got coffee, cardamom, it has incense in there. It's got sandalwood, amber, nutmeg, all of those mixing together. So you have a nice spiciness, but it's kind of like a grounded spiciness. It's not super sweet. It's got a little bit of that incense, that smoky punch right off the top, which helps kind of ground the whole fragrance. The coffee is not a burnt coffee, so you don't get any harsh edges here. It's pretty smooth. Definitely strong though, for me anyway. It's on the stronger side of things. So do keep your sprays in check. Make sure that it works well off your skin. You know, you don't want to go 15 sprays with this or something, kind of overload. I gotta get this one out of the way next. The one Eau de Parfum Dolce Gabbana. Not too much you can say about this one. Just one of the best date night fragrances ever. Yes, it's been out a long time. Yes, people have talked about it a bunch. Yes, everybody and their mama seems to own it, but it just works. It is, to me, one of the better smelling designer fragrances of all time. If we're just talking that scent profile, I love it. I love it. Now, I had the Eau de Toilette version of this when it first came out, and I was about it. That was one, sprayed it, and just immediately was like, I gotta have that. So when this came out, it was kind of a big deal, and it just takes the Eau de Toilette and improves on almost everything. The spice in here, perfectly done. That nice little touch off the top, that little hint of like freshness and sweetness as it leads you in. The tobacco and the dry down, it's just a wonderful scent. Like I said, one of the best date night fragrances ever, up there with La Nuit Alone. Eau de Parfum from Gucci. Now this one has an interesting note breakdown. It's got chili in there and rose. And you do get that floral aspect right off the top there. It has kind of like a mixing of some of the Guilties from the past, like Guilty Black, the original Guilty, some of that freshness that those have. The lavender specifically from those. And then you have these somewhat richer, bolder aspects mixed in with those cleaner, fresher ones. It has a bit of a soapiness to it, so clean kind of vibes in there as well. And it makes for a very classy and different choice for a date night fragrance. It's not quite as sweet as it dries down as a lot of these fragrances here, but it still has a really nice classy touch to it. All right, I gotta get this one out of the way too. Angel Share by Kilian. Yes, we all know this one, right? A bit of a hype beast, hype monster, hype monstrosity, but there is no denying how pleasant this stuff is. Oof. Yeah, oh man. This is one of the best, I just blasted my hand, one of the best boozy, sweet date night fragrances that have come out in quite a while. God, yeah. The only bad thing about this fragrance, which is not really a bad thing, but the only bad thing about the fragrance is that, well, it's slightly expensive, but no big deal. But that it just stands so much higher above the other fragrances in this line. It's like Angel Share, everything else. There are clones of that fragrance if you can't afford it, stuff like Ombre by Lattafa that get you pretty close and also would be great date night choices. But if you can get Angel Share, that will serve you very well. We are at number 10, and that is Hugo Boss The Scent Magnetic. Not that these are in any particular order, because they're not. Love the scent Magnetic. This one is a preferred choice of mine in terms of newer releases for evening wear. Top-notch vanilla in there. Smells really good. Has a note of bran, which every time I talk about this, I'm still kind of like, bran, okay, but it works. Raisin Bran, the fragrance. Nice. It has Meninka in there, of course, tying it in with the other fragrances in the line, but the Meninka is not quite as forward in this one as it is in a bunch of the other fragrances in the scent line. So really this ends up being a unique sort of vanilla forward fragrance with a touch of powder and kind of a tropical edge, interestingly. It smells awesome. Let's go back to niche with Ombre Chromatique. This is from Maison Crivelli. It's another expensive one, $290 for this for a 50 ml size bottle. It is an extrait de parfum though, for what that's worth, and it is pretty strong. It packs a good punch, so even though it's pricey, you won't need to spray too much of it. Even in winter, I would not go really heavy with this one. This is a fragrance more so than most of the other ones we're gonna talk about that could be potentially off-putting if you go too heavy. So keep that in mind. This is one where you're gonna wanna make sure to keep the number of sprays in check, because you can go from smelling absolutely friggin' amazing, like $1 million, just lights out. You can go from that to smelling like, holy frig, what are you wearing? That's too much, I'm choking, I hate you, get away from me. Real quick, there's a thin line there. You don't wanna cross it. Err on the side of caution in this situation, okay? So it's an amber fragrance, obviously. Also has incense in there. It has Divana as well. So you get that amber. It's very rich and deep and bold. You get that incense coming through. You have osmanthus in there. So you get like this little green touch around the edges. It's quite a unique amber scent, one of the best that I've smelled, but you do not want to go heavy, heavy. All right, let's keep it boozy with Reserve Privé, because boozy fragrances just work on dates. Siege Mint Privé, that's another good boozy fragrance that would be good in this list that I don't have here right now, but that would be good too. So this is an iris forward boozy fragrance, nice whiskey in there, chestnut as well. Came out last year, 2022, one of the best releases of the year, if not the best. And I think that for me personally, although there are a bunch of other ones that would work really well in this lineup, if I were just gonna pick one for a date night fragrance, it would be this. So if you're a fan of iris fragrances done in that kind of slightly makeup-y style, but you want a boozy, sweet touch to it with a little gourmand edge as well, check that stuff out. It's fantastic. Let's go back to niche with Grandmaster from Mindgames. Ooh, this is good stuff. Very nice. Another one that is more on the pricey side, but at least the quality's there. So this has rose water along with currant, coffee, and incense. So what that means is that the rose is not gonna come across really powdery, it doesn't come across heavy, it doesn't come across like a, grandma type of rose. It's got a nice lightness to it, sort of an airiness to the rose. Then you also have some woods in there, some myrrh as it dries down, so you're gonna get those resins, you're gonna get that warmth that works so well in date night fragrances. Quality, as I said, really high. The coffee comes across quite nice as well. Kind of like the 8 and Bob, it's not gonna come across burnt or anything like that. Very smooth. This one's been compared at times to Black Phantom from By Kilian. I don't think it's really super close to that. The By Kilian is much more like aggressively in your face right off the bat. Quite different, those two fragrances. And it's been compared to Cafe Rose and Intense Cafe as well. I would say this one definitely more masculine though from those fragrances and not as much of a focus on the rose as those fragrances. After that, Luna Rosa Black. That's a personal favorite of mine. I think it's a really standout designer of fragrances. Not too much out there smells like this one. As I've said before, before, if you're familiar with Midnight in Paris, discontinued, F's in the chat, or Bulgari Black, discontinued, F's in the chat. This has some similarities with those, but they're long gone at this point, so this is kind of standing alone, doing its own thing. Ooh, yeah, super sexy, dark, mysterious, kind of sweet with the tonka in there, a little rubbery, but in a very pleasant way. Perfect date night fragrance, perfect evening fragrance. You can wear that formally. You can do a lot with this. Luna Rosa Black is an absolute standout. Last but not least, Womo Intense Valentino. Yes, they have moved on to the Born in Roma line of fragrances, but Valentino Womo Intense is still awesome. Oh God, man. You forget how good that is. What? It's stupid good. It's been a little bit since I've smelled it and like really taken it in. Yeah, that's stupid. That's ridiculous. So that one has sort of that Dior Homme Intense vibe with the iris. Stands alone though, does its own thing. Not the same as the Dior's, just in that same ballpark. You know, not too dissimilar from the iris over here. It's so rich, a little bit creamy, touch of like this wearable leather in there. Classy, sexy, ridiculous. Valentino Womo Intense, still perfect. There we go, 15 different fragrances that are great in romantic situations, date nights, a lot of different vibes here. So definitely something out of this whole posse would work for you. Actually, a lot of them should. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Let me know in the comments some of your go-to date night or evening fragrances. Stay safe out there, guys. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. Taking you with me.